Hey, what is good everyone, Chris here, welcome back to the channel, and today we're talking about the recent release from Fujifilm, the new lens that everyone is talking about, and it gets hyper and hyper every day. This is a lens that probably most of us were expecting for many years, and it's probably the most amazing lens that will thrill all the portrait photographers and low light shooters. It's the Fujinon 50mm F1.0, the weather resistant lens that Fujifilm released yesterday. I am a little bit off because it's 7 o'clock in the morning and I'm not usually doing videos at this time, but let's talk about this lens. And because I don't have the lens right now, I'm gonna compare it with what I have and tell you a few things and make you understand what this lens is for, what exactly is actually, and if you should pre-order it or buy it, or you should wait a little bit more. Because I don't have all the data and everything, I'm gonna use my iPad to look for the specs and debate and comment to all the things that I'm gonna find for you. I'm not expecting to be a short video, but if you wanna stay with me and if you're interested in this lens, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to give these videos a thumbs up. Also share them with your friends. That's what we're doing on this channel. We're trying to create a community. So let's start with the lens. First of all, like I said, the lens has been released recently, a couple of days ago I believe, and it's a 50mm f1.0. I have right here the 56mm f1.2. It's my favorite lens for portraits. The 51.0, it's way bigger than this one. It's actually as big as the 56.12 with the lens screws attached, or as a comparison, it's gonna be pretty much the same measurements as the 16 to 55 f2.8. This is a hefty lens, a big lens. This probably it gets very close in terms of weight with the 51.0 as well. It's a big lens and it's a hefty lens, and like I said, I'm gonna compare it with these two the entire time. It's a lens that has 12 elements, I think in 9 groups. Has a lot of dispersion elements as well. It does have a 9-blade aperture, would probably create amazing bokeh. It creates those round beautiful bokeh because the aperture blade is pretty round at 9 blades. It's gonna allow the Fuji X Pro 3 and X-T4, the latest generation of the X line, to shoot at -7 EV. That is great. They previously shoot at -6 with all other lenses. This one being super open at 1.0, it will give us a little bit more low light performance. And Fujifilm assured everyone that the autofocus in low light, it's gonna be good, it's gonna be very reliable. We can wait to see that and test it. It's very important. Also, this lens, like I said, it's bulkier. It's around 4 inches. It's very comparable to the 16 to 55 f2.8 in terms of length, and weight is around 150 grams, 1.9 pounds. It's a great lens, great in all matters. It's heavy, it's sturdy, it's solid. Also, it's a weather resistant lens, which makes very reliable in the elements. You can go outside and shoot in the rain and dust like any other weather resistant lenses, and they say that it's gonna be pretty reliable in terms of autofocus, and the motor inside is gonna work down to 14 degrees Fahrenheit. The aperture goes from f1.0 all the way to f16. It's normal, it's way open, and it can go very high in aperture. When it comes to shallow depth of field, it's gonna be probably a very thin, very shallow depth of field with this lens. Especially when you're shooting f1.0. It's a lens that has a very big, wide, open front element that will let a lot of light in, and that was gonna be great for you know, low light shooters and event photographers, for those of us who are shooting weddings, as well as for those who are shooting portraits, because that shallow depth of field might be useful. I'm not sure how many portrait photographers are shooting f1.0, but definitely it's gonna be useful, especially if you're shooting like I said, in a very dark environment or a little bit darker than you wanted to, because that aperture will allow the shutter speed to go a little bit higher, so you don't have to shoot all the way down to 150, 1/30th of a second, 1/100. You can go up to 250, 320 of a second. That's great in terms of sharpness. They say that the lens it's gonna be sharp all the way to 1.0. That's a very important thing, because when you're buying this lens, and I didn't mention yet, this lens is gonna cost $1,500 now in pre-order. I think that the price is gonna go down a little bit in the next months, but I'm thinking if I'm paying $1,500 for a lens, it should be sharp all the way down to the widest aperture, which is 1.0 in this case. This is pretty much it about the lens, and there are a lot of people already testing this lens. Unfortunately, Fujifilm didn't send me any copies. We're a small channel and we're growing, but nonetheless I'm gonna show you a few examples from other people, from those who already played with it, and I hope that this lens is gonna fit the needs and match everything that a portrait photographer or a wedding photographer, even a landscape photographer, might want from it. The good thing is that Fujifilm apparently goes towards open apertures, very wide apertures, and that's amazing. I'm hoping that other lenses, other great lenses that we have in the Fuji lineup, like the 35 1.4, the 16mm F1.4, they're gonna go down a little bit, maybe to 1.2, maybe to 1.0 at some point. That will be amazing. I mean, the 16mm doesn't do any good to have a 1.0 aperture. It's already sharp all the way, but it would be very helpful in low light, especially if you're shooting events. Also, the 35 1.4 is a great lens that I think it needs a little bit of an upgrade, being a little bit old, and autofocus motor being a little bit slower than the new f2 lenses. Maybe we're gonna get that, who knows. Nonetheless, stay with me, because everything we're getting, it's gonna be presented to you, and we're gonna talk about it. And this channel, like I said, it's about tech and photography. We're doing all kinds of nice things here, and gonna be more and more every day. The more the situation clears up a little bit here in California, I'm gonna be able to go outside more and shoot more, and actually prove my point when I'm talking about lenses and apertures and sharpness and all that stuff. Subscribe to the channel if you didn't already, and give these videos a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It's very important. It helps with the algorithm, it helps me understand stuff. And also put your comments in the box down below and let me know what you think about the 50mm F1.0. Would you buy it? Would you consider it for your work, for your photography, for your videography as well? We don't know much about the autofocus motor. They say it's silent, but I believe we have to test that to realize how silent it is and how good it is for videography. That's it, guys. Thank you again, and I will definitely see you in a bit.